Oh my goodness, we've been waiting since May for this episode of the Sprint Ride Option podcast. Hey, come hang out, talk 49ers Eagles. Maybe you'll learn a little bit about the lesson of day man. I don't know. As the kids say, yeah, here we go. New Sprint Ride Option podcast starts now.
Welcome, everybody.
We are live.
My name is Jason Aponte.
I am Andrew Pasquini.
We're working. That's it. We're working over here. That's it. Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners. Sprint Ride Option podcast. Oh my goodness, another week, another episode of the Sprint Ride Option podcast. But Jason, it's not any episode. It's Eagles week episode, an episode that we've been waiting on. A lot of people have been waiting on. This is the football game, man. But before we get into the football game, always the most important question of the week. This is a great podcast because we start with the important, hard-hitting questions up top. Jason Aponte, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, and this week has been a blast to cover this team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think again, like kind of what we were talking about with the Thanksgiving game, I feel my objective part of my body leaving me.
Oh, okay.
And it's just all just fandom this week. Like it's all just fandom, a blind homerism. Make sure that you get it done like that. I pride myself on trying to be understanding of the game. I don't want to understand anything other than a San Francisco 49ers win on Sunday. And that's kind of where I've been the entire week. And it's honestly a cool place to live in because you don't have to come up with reasons. You don't have to come up with facts. No. You can just say, rah, 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 go Niners. And that makes content super easy when it's like that, man. Super easy.
Yeah, no, it makes it much easier. I don't know if I'm definitely at the fandom point of it, but this isn't a spoiler for the podcast episode because like we have our gimmick on this podcast with the predictions. And I fully intend to continue that gimmick with the predictions. But if you go to NinerNation.com and read the predictions article, people might not like my prediction in that.
Someone didn't choose the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday, and I read the article right before it went live. I went into the dashboard and just looked at everyone else, and there's one person predicting an Eagles victory.
So to be fair, that's partially Niner Nation commenters' fault. Because last week we published the Seahawks prediction, and I think everybody who put the prediction in had Niners winning by double digits. And I read a couple comments because I was curious. I'm like, okay, maybe it's going to get the people hyped up. Like, yeah, the Niners are better. A lot of the comments, Jason, were like, this is the issue. This is why they lost after Dallas is people got too confident. They can't just go into Seattle and win by double digits and blah, blah, blah. And I texted KP when he sent the link and he's like, hey man, here's the link for the Eagles prediction. And I go, too many people last week complained that we all picked the Niners to beat the Seahawks. Bet. And that's where I'm at with it.
It's out of pettiness and spite.
Yeah, so like 98% of the things in my life out of pettiness and spite. Absolutely. I love it. But as I said, we have a gimmick here on the Sprint Ride Option podcast. I am spoiling it now. I'm picking the 49ers on this platform because it's a gimmick. And B, nobody listen, I have an idea for somebody who watches this podcast for next season. Somebody who takes in all the 49ers content as they can. I think they need a running list of every prediction every 49ers content creator has for every game so we know how wrong everybody is and how right, because nobody cares about predictions. And like, I think with this podcast, Jason, we've said as much because we literally, I think the Niners have played 28 games since last season, 29, 30 games. We have picked the Niners in all 30 games. So I think we should have we should have somebody here in the chat watch every piece of 49ers content they can take in the rest of the year and tell us what everybody's record is on predicting 49er games, because we're going to be perfect because the Niners are obviously winning every game of the rest of the year, and we're obviously going to pick them.
Well, that's part of the gimmick is the 49ers are 8-3 in games that we choose them to win. Yeah. So, I mean, hey, that's a pretty good record. Like, really, when you think about it, when you look at like a prediction record, 8-3 is pretty good. Like 8-3 is real good. So
there's some
just-
years where it works, but there's some years it doesn't. We were 6-10 in 2020. That's not great at picking games, But the past few years, the Niners have made it easy on us.
No, hold on. And I think there was 2021 when I chose against the 49ers sometimes, and got it wrong. So I mean, I think lately, like, just to be safe, and I did an Eagles podcast this week, and I was just like, they're not gonna let me back if I say that the Eagles are gonna win, and they were just like, hey, no problem, man, like, you got it.
I like the revisionist history on saying I might have picked the Niners to lose a couple games in 2021 when I remember it was the season's over after week 5, Jason, right? That's what that was, right?
Right. I mean, 100%. And how can you blame us for games that we didn't predict anything?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, dude, like predictions are always so funny. People get angry when you don't pick their favorite team. But like even with the national media ones, we don't go back and look at those predictions unless it's one of those where it's like the Patriots are playing the Chiefs and the entire panel picked the Chiefs to win, but the Patriots pulled the upset. And Patriots Twitter's like, well, these guys don't know. And he's like, well, no, everybody thought the Chiefs were going to beat the Patriots. What are you talking about? Stuff like that.
Hey, this is a Hollywood Pasquini phase, right? Like there's Hollywood Rock, right? Like when Hollywood Rock is like a heel. I think that's something that we kind of forgot about. Obviously, Hollywood Hogan, those type of things. Like right now, you're in Hollywood Pasquini territory right now. So
and I think you and I are going to have a pretty good balance here because I'm at a point where this is going to be a very good football game. I think either team can win this game. JKBG, watching every 49ers content creator is worse than waterboarding. That's why I suggested it for one of you guys. I don't have to do it.
For the least lucky one?
Yeah. No, I think somebody should do it, not me. I'm not volunteering for that.
Not me.
But I think the thing I want to keep in mind is no matter what I say or what Jason says, this is going to be a close, fun, physical, like whatever word you can describe to make maybe not fun for 40. If we're talking stepping back as not a 49er fan or an Eagle fan and just watching a football game.
If we were if we were unbiased watchers,
this is a fun football game.
Yeah. Oh no, it's the football game, right? Yeah. But for the people in the trenches, like you and I and Eagles and 49ers fans, no, this isn't fun.
But I see. Okay, but here's the other side of it, and this is the other thought I've had, and we're gonna have a lot of thoughts. There's a lot of thoughts going on in this game.
Many thoughts.
This is what happened because this is what happens when this isn't just the two best teams in the NFC. This is not the two best teams in just the NFC. This is the two best teams in football. Okay, if the NFC Championship game was this Sunday, 3 hours. There it is. Axel,
don't say it. Don't repeat that.
Meaty men slapping me. Have you not? That's the Big E. That's the Big E. WWE.
Hey yo.
No. So Big E was asked what his dream match was, and a lot of people's dream matches are like Shawn Michaels versus Daniel, or like kind of good wrestling matches. And Big E's like, no, my dream match is me versus Goldberg. You could take your 5-star classics. I want my big meaty men slapping me. That's what that's from. It's very funny, very enjoyable, Jason.
Hey,
let's get back to the point. This is going to be such a not a fun. Jason kind of killed that from me. This is
not fun for us. It's going to be fun for onlookers.
This, no matter what's said in this podcast, I think it needs to be kept tight to the vest that whatever we say about the Eagles or whatever we say about the Niners, it's in the context of the two best teams in football. If we say the Niners do something better than the Eagles or the Eagles do something better than the Niners, it's not saying the Niners suck. It's just saying, hey, yeah, they're not as good as the best team in football. And I'm going to stand on that. That's maybe where we're going to maybe differ. The Eagles are the best team in the NFL. The Eagles are the best team in the NFC. And they are the best team in the NFC until proven otherwise.
Right.
I don't know if a Niners win on Sunday tells me that because – and a lot of my thoughts for this game, and I think this is where the prediction and breaking down this game kind of loses its luster for me. If I were to ask you as of this second, Jason Aponte, what is your prediction for the NFC Championship game? I'm assuming your pick, unless you surprise me, is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles against the San Francisco 49ers. Am I correct on that?
No, it'll be the San Francisco 49ers against the Dallas Cowboys. Dak
Okay.
Prescott gets hurt halfway through. So does the backup. Trey Lance has to
Trey
come
Lance
in.
comes in. Okay.
And Robbie Gold has just been brought onto the team
Just brought it on. Okay. Yeah.
because the
Yeah. Yeah.
kicker who hasn't missed yet and is undrafted, by the way, is injured, and they had to bring in somebody for that game. So it happens to be
Okay.
Robbie Gold. And Trey Lance is got the ball in his hands with 2 minutes
Yes.
left, and he throws a touchdown to make the game 41-17 San
Okay.
Francisco 49ers, and they
Okay.
go on to the Super Bowl. That's the NFC Championship for me.
Okay, so your NFC Championship game is the
It's
Niners and Dallas
clearly
Cowboys.
me just being a
Yes,
jerk
yes,
about
yes,
it. No,
yes,
it's going to be
yeah.
the Philadelphia Eagles and the San Francisco 49ers.
And so that's where I don't want to say I lose my excitement for this game, but it takes the edge off of it a little bit because let's say, and I said this in my article, my numbers to know, hey, Jason, we write for NinersNation.com, don't know if people know. If the Eagles win on Sunday by 1,000,000 points, and then the Niners in January go into the link for the NFC Championship game and win that game, what does week 13 mean? You know what I mean? And that's where I'm at with it. Am I wrong to look at it like that?
No, not at all. I don't
Thank
think
you.
I don't think so at all.
Okay. Thank you. Wow, I'm right. Okay, well that's that conversation. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this game right now. There's a lot of things to it, but for Philadelphia Jordan in the chat, look at that. Philadelphia Jordan is here. We love Philly Jordan. Jason, before we get into the nitty gritty of the game, I kind of want to get your I feel like I've just kind of dumped all my overarching thoughts about this game into this. What about you? What are your kind of thoughts on the game as a whole?
No, and I think there's some interesting ways to look at this, right? Like the Philadelphia Eagles have something that the San Francisco 49ers don't this season. They've won games in which they haven't played their best game. And I think one can say that the Philadelphia Eagles haven't put together a full game just yet, right? I low-key admire the way that they've been able to win games, regardless of whatever it is that you believe that it is. It's a drop, it's the penalties, whatever, that's fine. But winning those types of games, especially during the season, signifies something, right? Last season, it was the Minnesota Vikings. They won every single one-score game. And then the next year, when you flip it over, obviously you don't have the same success because it's something that isn't sustainable year to year, right? It's not sustainable. But when you are in that season in which you win all those games, it signifies that you are about to do something kind of special.
Yes.
So for me, I like that the Philadelphia Eagles have won all these games in that way, and I would like to see the San Francisco 49ers win games when they don't play their best. Having said that, however, the San Francisco 49ers have put far better football on tape than the Philadelphia Eagles have, and they have put together multiple complete games, right?
Yes.
So now it's up to you for you to decide what is more important, that a team finds a way to win games, or there's a team on the other side that through the last 3 games, the last 12 quarters, the San Francisco 49ers have played markedly better football than the Philadelphia Eagles, right? But the Philadelphia Eagles have 1 loss and the 49ers have 3. I don't know where I was going with this, but the point is Philadelphia wins games when they don't play well. The 49ers, when they play well, you have no chance to win games.
Yes, and that's the perfect jumping off point, Jason. I like this Jasquini thing, by the way, Gray Fox.
Yeah.
I've never thought about it, and I love Jasquini. I think that should be our name. 49ers 42, Eagles 13. Thank you very much for the donation. But that's where I'm at, Jason. And in the Andrew Pasquini simulation, Brian Boucher, we're just going to allow Jordan to rep all the bird teams we don't like. Actually, we pretty much let
Atlanta, Seattle, Philadelphia, Arizona next week. Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan definitely is that guy. We like Jordan for that. But no, so in Andrew Pasquini's simulation of this game, because you make a great point, Jason. The Eagles win close games, but the 49ers blow teams out, right? And I see a lot of people saying like the word, especially Niner Twitter. When I say I see a lot of people, I mean Niners Twitter because that's who I follow. I see a lot of people use the word luck with the Eagles and all these close games. But my thing is they don't ask how, they ask how many. A win's a win, whether the Niners win by 400 points or the Eagles win by 1. And so my question is, and I think you had the perfect launching off spot because a lot of the research I did was these one possession game things. when you do a simulation of this game in your brain, Jason, you run it through Jason Aponte, kind of like we have a Kyle 3000, we have Jason 3000, where he runs simulations in his head. Out of 100 simulations, Jason, does this game, doesn't matter who the winner or the loser is, out of 100, how many times is this going to be a close game versus how many times is this going to be a blowout? Right.
97 times.
And I lean into 90% chance this is a close game, 10% chance this is a blowout. Either way, the 49ers are 1-2 in one possession games. That one win is kind of a lie because that's the Rams game. That's the game where McVay kicked the field goal as time expired to make it a 7. That counts as a one possession win. The Eagles are 7-1 in one possession games this season. And for those keeping track, they're 10-1. That's a lot of one possession games. And so what that tells me in my head is, okay, there is a 90% chance that this is a close game. The Eagles are very good at winning close games. The Niners have not been in situations where they can win close games. What does that mean? And that's what we're going to see on Sunday. I don't have that answer because I don't know what's going to happen on Sunday yet in this game. But I don't know. I just don't want to get in a close game with the Philadelphia Eagles, seeing all the different ways they win these games.
Okay. I guess I am. This is
I am.
PA likely down a starting safety on top of an already struggling secondary. I think you mean Philadelphia.
Yeah, I think Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. Niners have been good. All right. Yeah. Okay. Niners have been good at shutting the door early in games. There won't be room for Philly to suddenly turn it on in the fourth quarter. Okay. I see exactly. All right. Good.
That's fair.
I just wanted to make sure. Yeah. I absolutely wanted to make sure that we were saying the right things because. Yeah, the 49ers secondary has been great actually. The Ambry Thomas thing is like the biggest revelation at this point, and I keep saying it. It's what if the trade deadline cornerback that you wanted the entire time, he was in your building the entire time. He was just sitting there, like waiting to be unlocked. So that helps a lot. If Charvarius Ward, I think there's something to the idea that Ward needs to travel with somebody or needs to have a constant focus that keeps him locked in. So, like, maybe this is the week that he follows A.J. Brown because he was so good against DK Metcalf. And DK Metcalf absolutely dominated the Dallas Cowboys yesterday. Shout out to him and his fantasy points. I love DK Metcalf, by the way.
Whatever. I don't know sign language. Jason, you're in my brain right now.
Standing on.
Yeah, I like that. There we go. Jason,
standing on business.
Language. Jason, you're in my brain right now because after the one possession game thing, I was going to talk about how the Niners were going to handle the Eagles receivers. And we mentioned Charvarius Ward. You mentioned him because he did have that game against the Seahawks last Thursday. A.J. Brown is pretty much a 50-50 split, which side of the ball he's going to play. It's 269 on the right side of the line, 251 on the left, and that's out wide. And I nothing against Tyler Lockett. Nothing against Tyler Lockett. But maybe you can get away with Charvarius Ward following DK Metcalf because of the drop-off between DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. You don't get that break against Philadelphia because you have A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. And Devonta Smith's numbers are better than both DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, both receivers the Niners face in Seattle. So if you're Steve Wilks, Jason Aponte, are you comfortable with the perceived cornerback number one following the Eagles receiver one and A.J. Brown and keeping the combination of Ambry Thomas and Diamador Lenore on Smith? Or do you want to take that 50-50 gamble where it's, hey, we're gonna keep him on one side? Yeah, there's going to be a couple snaps where A.J. Brown is going to line up against Ambry Thomas and we don't feel comfortable about it. But Like how are you going to handle the combination? Because I don't think, off the top of my head, I don't think the Niners have faced a receiving duo like Smith and Brown yet this season, unless I'm forgetting somebody. How do you think Steve Wilks handles it?
Well, if I'm Steve Wilks right now, I'm probably on the sideline in Philly already getting rained on because, like I said, Steve Wilks shouldn't leave any sideline ever, right? Just get him a tent and just keep him there. No, I think you're fine with the whole idea of Charvarius Ward traveling, and I think that gives you peace of mind, because now regardless of whatever, you've got your best guy on their best guy, and you'll take that shot 10 out of 10 times and twice on Sunday. That's the reason that you brought in Charvarius Ward is to do that, right? So now
Yes.
you have one less thing. If AJ Brown is lined up across Ambry Thomas, if I'm Jalen Hurts, I'm gonna take a shot every single time, and I'm gonna try to throw that ball up just to see if
Mhm.
you can stop it, right? And that's
Okay.
not to say that Ambry Thomas hasn't played, well, but if I'm the quarterback and I'm looking around at matchups, I'm going to go take that shot. If Devonta Smith is over on Charvarius Ward, I'm much more likely to take a shot with AJ Brown on either of those guys than
Yeah.
someone else. So at least take that one away. Dallas Goedert's not going to play in this game. Force Devonta Smith to beat you, right? You shade somebody over to his side a little bit. You keep somebody on the top to watch him a little bit more. But you have what you have on AJ Brown, and you feel good about that because that's why you paid Charvarius Ward all that money. So I actually, if I'm Steve Wilkes, one, I'm in my tent right now because it's raining, and I'm on the sideline. But I also love this idea because it can allow you to be a little bit more flexible and force other guys to beat you, as opposed to just saying, "Hey, AJ Brown's going to get his." You're limiting that as much as you can, and as much as that can probably be like fall by the wayside in terms of, well, that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Think about Jalen Hurts not being able to go to one of the guys who makes plays for him all the
Mhm.
time, or thinking about it a little bit more. How much does that stifle what the Eagles want to do? So Gray Fox says, with Goddard likely out, should we spy Hurts? I wouldn't. I would not. I wouldn't. I think you've got two linebackers sideline to sideline that are fast enough, but this is all going to come down to the pass rush keeping Hurts in the pocket, right? And again, I'm going to say it one more time. The Kansas City game plan and the way that they were able to limit Hurts is much more encouraging to me than the Buffalo game plan.
Yeah.
Chris Jones was absolutely dominant. He's one of the best in the league, but they got to Jalen Hurts, right? They got to him. They disrupted the timing, even on the RPOs or the clean like zone reads. They were there, and they had a good game plan of surrounding him, keeping him in the pocket, keeping contained. I think the Philadelphia Kansas City game gives me more hope for what the 49ers can do than Buffalo's for some reason.
Yeah, man. Like something about that, and we watched the end of that Buffalo game on the podcast on Sunday, and something about that Buffalo game. Yeah, like I feel like the Niners can handle Philadelphia better than Buffalo did. I think there's somewhere in between. I mean, obviously the Niners are better than Buffalo, Jay. So I don't think that's a stretch
Yes.
to say. But I think the Niners can play Philadelphia somewhere in between Buffalo and Kansas City. I don't know if that relates to a win or not. But you make great points with having Ward on Brown, just kind of take one thing away. And I don't know how much you can take away AJ Brown necessarily.
You can't take him away, but
you can't take him away, but
you feel better about the matchup.
Yeah, and that's where I think that's where I agree with you on. The one thing I've been deciding, and maybe you can help me out with this one, with the Niners defensive line. The trade deadline was on Halloween this season.
It
The
was.
Washington Commanders played the Eagles twice before the trade deadline this season. Chase Young has 113 snaps played against this Eagles
Talk about
offense
it.
this season. Does that mean anything for Sunday? Because that was one of my numbers to know on Niner Nation was, 113 snaps. The Niners, yes, they played them last year, but Chase Young has seen this year's version of this offensive line.
Oh yeah.
Does that matter? Does him having two games against the offensive line that the Niners saw just last season? Because then you kind of fall into the slippery slope of, well, Hargrave technically had thousands of snaps against this offensive line last year in practice.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
what does that mean? Does the addition of Chase Young, is this maybe, I don't want to say the Niners acquired Chase Young for one game because they acquired him for much more than
Well,
that.
they acquired Javon Hargrave for this one.
They gave him 6 years worth of money for just this one game.
Just for Philadelphia intel.
Do you think maybe that Chase Young was one of the trade targets, maybe just for his intel of this Eagles defensive line or this Eagles offensive line? And then, or maybe if you don't like that question, does the 113 snaps before this game against Philadelphia help the Niners?
I feel like Andrew Pasquini, you and I built a rapport to the point that I'm a little bit sad right now that you wouldn't know what I'm going to say about Washington facing Philadelphia 2 times with Chase Young.
The who?
The Washington Commanders?
Football team? Luhu, left hand up. Is that what you're going to say?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's what I thought.
It's divisional stuff, man.
Okay.
They know them. Yeah, like they
Okay.
know them, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
but yes, Chase Young knows, Javon Hargrave knows, right? Like they know. Like they know what they're trying to do. But again, none of that really matters in the grand scheme of things because they're just not going to run things that they were running on practice. And if that was the case, then why didn't Brandon Allen give us the sauce for the Bengals? And why
Yeah.
didn't like it's just you can go down this huge rabbit hole of like, hey, you played for them, give us some intel, and they're gonna be like, hey, man, 3 years ago they ran this. That don't have nothing to do with like what's going on right now.
Yeah.
But I do think that there is a little bit more to the idea that this defensive line is playing so well, and this Eagles offensive line, which is so good. And shout out to you, Lane Johnson. I'm happy you're playing Sunday because I don't want to hear any excuses. I do think that the 49ers have enough up front with 4 and can drop 7 and still end up covering everybody while having guys that are in position to keep Hurts in the pocket or to keep Hurts from hurting you with his legs. I hate that I said Hurts and hurting, but it is what it is. But at the same time, I don't subscribe too much to that just because it's Washington like knowing Philadelphia very well. But I will say that Philadelphia has not faced a defensive line this good because I still believe that San Francisco is the best in the world.
Without looking at the stats, Jason, and I was a little caught by surprise on this as well. And I know this doesn't necessarily include the offensive line because there's nuance and all those boring words, Jason Aponte. And I'm trying to find. I'm categorizing stats. If you had to guess where the Eagles offense ranked in terms of sack percentage, number 1 being the highest percentage of sacks allowed, number 32 being the lowest. Where do you think the Eagles rank in terms of highest sack percentage in football?
As of right now, I believe they're 27th in the NFL in sacks per pass attempt, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. I'm looking at sack percent. I don't know what it is per pass. Well, it's roughly the same. The Eagles have allowed the 12th highest sack percentage.
Oh, allowed. Okay, I was talking about their defensive line. Their defensive line
I'm talking allowed offensive line. Sorry. The offensive line, this highly touted Eagles offensive line that we hear so much about, is almost a bottom 10 in terms of sacks allowed. I don't want to necessarily rip on it too hard because the 7.5% they allow it at, that's kind of like the median of the league. It's pretty average. But I don't know when I think of the Eagles defense, the Eagles offensive line, I think of a team that doesn't allow a bunch of sacks, but 7.5% of dropbacks, that's not a small number. Let's put it like that. And so maybe that gives you a little bit of hope with this defensive line is, hey, man, yeah, the Eagles offensive line gets all this credit, but actually sack-wise, it's not the best.
No. And again, how much of that is conflated during times when the Eagles are trying to throw themselves back into games, even though they find a way to win? Again, all that stuff deserves its context and everything as well, but it doesn't feel as sure as it used to. And again, the Kansas City game was my biggest clue where they were just disrupting everything. And if they would have executed on offense, we're talking about a completely different game this week. Obviously, you still have to give credit to the Philadelphia Eagles for winning. It doesn't matter how you do it. I don't want to hear about drop passes, penalties, any of that stuff. But at the same time, Kansas City really, really put some good things on tape that I think that the 49ers can use. So, shout out to Steve Spagnuolo as always, man. He always finds a way to get it done.
Yeah. The last thing I really had, and this was a number I saw earlier today, and it ties into the close game idea because as we said, I think we've pretty well established this is going to be a close game. Josh Dubow of the Associated Press tweeted out some stats today. Brock Purdy in his career in the fourth quarter overtime with a chance at a game-tying or go-ahead drive for the 49ers. 16 for 37, 261 yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. That's a 33.7 passer rating. Jalen Hurts in the same situations the last 2 seasons. 39 for 60, 490, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 4 touchdown runs. And that's then this goes back to the close game thing, and Jason, you've kind of sprinkled it in about, hey, close games, they're doing these things right, and I think there are some parallels to be looked at. You look at the Minnesota game where the Niners defense wasn't the best. Well, the offense wasn't able to outscore it. The Eagles defense gave up 28 to the same Minnesota team. But the offense was able to score 34 and win. You look at the Browns game; it's a stormy game in Cleveland. Jake Moody, 41-yard field goal misses. You look at last week for the Eagles; it's what was it, a 55-yard field goal for what they're calling make Elliott to send it into overtime in a stormy situation. And so, yeah, you could say it's luck, but there are these circumstances where the Niners have not executed and the Eagles have, and that's why they're where they're at. So I guess really the big question, to bring it back to the close game aspect, is if this ends up being a close game, what are the chances that the Niners figure it out against this Eagles team? Because it's a little different in winning a one possession game against, let's just say hypothetically, the Arizona Cardinal, because the Niners need to learn how to win close. Fred Warner, ugly. Fred Warner said as much. And it's one thing if the Niners learn how to win a close game in a couple weeks against Arizona, where maybe Arizona comes out hot and figures something out and the Niners squeak by. It's another to figure it out against the best team in football. So I guess, Jason, 2 minutes left, Niners down 3 with the ball. How comfortable are you feeling? And that's the question, right?
Right. Not comfortable at all, only because that's not the situation you want to be in. But it would go a long way to win a close game in Philadelphia more than it would winning a close game against Arizona or beating Washington football team like in the last few moments. Like, it's nice that you check that box, but this is, and I wrote about this on NinersNation.com. I don't know if you know Andrew Pasquini. You and I write for them.
Yeah,
I wrote that this game means much more for the 49ers in terms of a statement than it does making up any ground in the number 1 seed move, right? Yes. And this is about being able to put in Eagles' mind, we've done this. Yes. We can do this. Yes. You don't want to see us again. We can come back here and we can do this again. Yes. That's what it's about, right? Like, yes, you obviously want to get to the number 1 seed, but there is a scenario that I've also laid out that the San Francisco 49ers can go 6-0 the rest of the way, including a win against the Philadelphia Eagles, end the season 14-3 and be the 2nd seed. Yes. It's absolutely possible that is in the cards, right? The Philadelphia Eagles don't lose again. The 49ers beat the Eagles and they don't lose again, but they don't have enough wins to get it done and be the number 1 seed. You've got to be able to tell Philadelphia, hey, don't get too comfortable with that home field. We're coming and we can come back and do it again. Yes. And there's so many teams that kind of have put things in their mind in terms of that, right? Like, I hate to count almost losses, but it's hard to ignore when you watch the Philadelphia Eagles in the film. I mean, Minnesota gave them a run for their money while they were, during a primetime game where Kirk Cousins, he was right in the middle of it. If they don't fumble the football 5 times in that game, they probably win that game, right? Including a fumble that goes out of the end zone for a touchdown for Justin Jefferson. Buffalo, if Gabe Davis doesn't run the wrong route and the ball's on him, touchdown, game over. There is no chance for Jalen Hurts to get the ball. There's so many of these little things that are there, right? But Washington plays them to the buzzer. I know it's a division game, but Washington played them into overtime. Like, the Eagles are now in a spot where they are not as invincible as they used to be, even though they're winning at the same clip, if not more, than they were last season. So there's things on there that if the 49ers execute, if they can keep themselves out of bad situations, should absolutely win these football games, because Buffalo should have, and Washington should have, and Minnesota could have, and it's just, I hate to do would have, could have, but the Philadelphia Eagles have been far from this team that they were last year. I felt far more worried about them last season because they were just winning every game by a crazy amount. Now they look like a team that is very beatable, just like every team normally is. But they don't look like that team from last year. It's not the same team, I don't think.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, because it's. I think that's kind of the double-edged sword of the one possession victory stat. Is, yeah, man, you keep winning these close games, but there's so many points where these games could have flipped. and this could just as easily be a loss. I do think that this one possession thing's a little different than the Vikings last year because I don't think anybody ever felt comfortable with the Vikings, where the Eagles are already an established
They're a good team.
They've established it. So it's just, I guess to kind of sum it up before we get to the predictions portion of the podcast is I've really decided that this game is going to have two outcomes. It's either going to be a 40 or an Eagles close win, or it's going to be a 49ers blowout, because the 49ers have shown when they win, they blow teams out, and the Eagles have shown when they win, it's close. They're both experts in those areas. I don't know if as a 49er fan, you can feel comfortable with blowing out a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, but the Niners blew out the Cowboys, and they're allegedly the second best team in the NFC right now. So it's
Nice struggling job with the Seahawks though yesterday, Dallas.
Yeah, so like it's just I guess the last point I'm gonna make, man, is we're already past the point of narratives and all that stuff. If the Niners win, obviously Niner fans should talk crap, but it should be treated as a, hey, they can go into Philadelphia and win, but can they do it again? And if Philadelphia wins, it shouldn't be this, oh my God, we can't beat Philadelphia, because you need to take solace in the idea of you're probably going to get another chance within 2 months. Yeah. And hey, man, as I said, the Eagles can win this game 1,000,000-0 as long as the Niners take care of business in January. And I know that's a different conversation because we're talking about 2 consecutive losses at the link in these high-profile games, because while I have been kind of downgrading this game a little bit, this is a high-profile game. This is, dare I say, the game of the season. This is the game that everybody had circled on their calendar. But in the grand scheme of the 2023 season, this game is just pretty much setting up what the NFC Championship game is going to look like, potentially where it's going to be. I think if obviously if the Eagles win this game, the playoffs are going through the link. I think that's going to be pretty much not mathematically proven yet, but they're going to be 3 up with what, 5 to go with the tiebreaker over the Niners. So the game's going to go through the link. And if the Niners win, they'll kind of have the inside track to having the 1 seed. But as Jason mentioned, if the Niners win on Sunday and both teams win out the rest of the way, the Niners aren't going to have home field. So as exciting as this game is going to be, this is just round 1 of what ideally is going to be a 2-round fight. And all that matters is who wins that second round.
Yeah, I mean, we want to win every single game as 49er fans. It just reminds me of the Rams. Yeah, it's like, hey man, we own you. Please just win the one that matters.
And that's what I've been avoiding referencing all week.
Right.
It's that same stuff.
I would 1,000 out of 1,000 times, if there was, the genie out of the bottle, whatever, the leprechaun at the end of the rainbow, whatever it is, right? Like that scenario.
Yeah.
I would 1,000 out of 1,000 times trade Sunday's win for a win in the NFC Championship game against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yes.
It is a little bit of a psychological thing in terms of we want to show them that we can beat them there. But beating them here on Sunday and then not beating them in the playoffs, if you do get matched up with them, this game will just lose a little bit more of its luster. Sure, we'll look at this game as the best win of the season until they beat Baltimore on Christmas. By the way, I'm predicting the 49ers beat Baltimore on Christmas. Okay. But it will lose its luster if it still ends up the way that it did in the NFC Championship game with the Eagles moving on to the Super Bowl. So it's like, you can have your regular season win, which we all want. And we all want to send a message to the Philadelphia Eagles. Hey, don't let us come back. Don't try to see us again. You don't want to see us again. But at the same time, give me the game that matters, which is, far down the line.
And that's the thing. Like, part of me, nobody isolate this audio. Part of me hopes, not hopes. Part of me wants them to kind of lose.
Don't say it. No, don't say it. Don't say it.
I'm knocking on wood. I got a new wood desk. I'm knocking on wood. But if you win on Sunday, you set the expectations in January of, they can do this. They're going to win this. And it's like almost having those it's the hope that kills you, right? So it's almost as if you lose on Sunday, you go into the potential playoff game in in January, it's just, man, it's I don't know, man. This is such an interesting dynamic between these two teams because it feels like this is the appetizer of what the main course of the playoff is going to be. Gammon, what are the odds that we sweep the Eagles 2-0? I'll put 25%. I'll give it a good quarter of 100 because I would assume both of those games would be in Philadelphia. I'll say 25%.
Axel's all over you. This is Hollywood Pasquini, Axel, right now. It's Hollywood Pasquini. There's nothing we could do. It's in the script as a heel turn. Like, it's just, we didn't see it coming, anything like that. Yeah, and the odds that we sweep the Eagles 2-0 is probably at like a 40% chance. You could say 50-50 because any game is 50-50. Somebody has to win and lose. That's not true. Somebody can tie. But I would say when the 49ers are playing like this and they're as healthy as they are, and it seems like everybody's going to be on hand for this one, and it may not be the same obviously for the Eagles. They're missing Goddard. I believe they're missing Cunningham as well too. They're going to be missing some guys. It's 40%, but I'm going to stand on this, and you know me, I stand on business. When the 49ers play their best game, nobody can beat them. Nobody. Yeah. Nobody. Okay. Not the Eagles, not the Monstars, not the 85 Bears, none of them. Nobody. Doesn't matter. Not Chip Kelly's Eagles, not Andy Reid's Eagles, not Dick Vermeil's Eagles. None of them can beat the 49ers when they play their game. So if the 49ers go out there and execute, and it doesn't matter what day it is, it might be a cold day in January, it might be on Sunday. If the 49ers execute, there's no Eagles team that's ever stepped on the field that could ever beat that 49ers team that'll go out there and do that.
I love the energy, Jason. Let's get into the
predictions. Yeah. I told you this week, and we got what we're 41 minutes in this week. It is not about objectiveness. It's not about it's not about any of that. Like this is one of those games this needs to happen. This needs to happen. I got a lot to say when it comes to the way things have kind of played itself out between the Eagles and the 49ers. Again, I'm going to stand on this as well, too. This is very much a put up or shut up game for the San Francisco 49ers. If this game does not go the way that you want, I better not see one 49ers player out in the media talking about whatever the game plan was or this guy's trash or nope. You did all that all off season. You did all of that all the entire time. You're even beefing with guys that play for the Lions, don't even play for the Eagles no more. You've got to go out and you've got to finish this game. I don't want to hear anything after it. I don't want to hear, oh, well, this happened. Oh, well, no. If your team does not have more points than the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday, I want you to be quiet, and I want you to get right back and get ready for Arizona. That's it.
And Jason, you make that point, but I see a few new names in here. Shout out the Eagle fans in the chat right now. But this Eric Pruitt says, I'm good. Y'all more hyped than we are. You need this game more than we do.
He's the Eagles fan. He's been good though.
I absolutely agree because if the Eagles win this game, Eagle fans and Eagle players can say, but I thought all you needed was Purdy to beat us. If the Niners win, it's yes, see, we told you. And so, yes, absolutely. You remember all the stuff we said about the Cowboys in the Cowboy 49er game earlier this season?
Yep.
About how this game meant more to them than it means to us?
They needed it.
The Eagles don't need to prove anything in this game. They would like to beat the Niners, yes. But the Niners, with all the talking, and this is where the talking kind of bites you in the ass. And I know Niner fans are going to make the jokes like, oh, what did you guys say about the field in the Super Bowl? But with how much talking the Niners did, they've kind of, even before the ramifications of the first round bye and home field, the Niners kind of backed themselves into a corner of this is a must-win game. All that talking goes away if you lose this game. This game 1,000% means more to the Niners than it does the Eagles.
And the other thing is, I want to make sure that we're clear about this, is 49ers players, because I was at the Super Bowl. That's my flex right now. I was at the Super Bowl and I did opening night for the Eagles, and every Eagles player was asked about the 49ers. It's not like they were giving up things without being asked about that, right? Because everybody knew what to dial into. Same thing with 49ers players. Debo's on media row. Brandon Ayuk's on media row. I mean, shit, even Trey Lance was on media row, and he hadn't played a game in how long, and they were asking him about the damn Eagles. So, for everybody who's like, oh, well, the 49ers the Eagles are rent free in their mind. No, 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 no. The media knew exactly what they were doing this entire time. I Am Athlete gets all these guys on the pod. They start, letting the blood pressure go up a little bit with a good conversation. Boom, ask them about the Eagles, and you're going to get an answer like that. Like, it never was the fact that the 49ers were just obsessed with the Eagles, but the media understood that if they wanted a good soundbite or if they wanted a good article, it was to ask one of these players about this. And you know what? The 49ers, I don't necessarily love the way that they answer some of the questions, but if you feel that, stand on business. Now, again, standing on business that time means Sunday, you got to stand on business. Like, now all that stuff that you talk becomes irrelevant if you don't go out there and you prove it on Sunday. So I like the talking, but what I like more than talking is backing that up, right? Like, everyone hates Floyd Mayweather. Oh, he talks too much. Beat him. Beat him. You can't beat him? Okay, then be quiet. Like let him talk his shit. He gets to talk whatever he wants. There's nothing more satisfying to me than someone who talks and then they go ahead and they fix it. So that's just kind of where I am with the trash talking. Gammon, thank you again for the donation. By the way, man, shout out to our community, man. During State of the Franchise, Gammon Ariel gave out a bunch of memberships to the Spicy Squad. Yeah, it was awesome, man. And I love the community we built. Everybody in here. I saw Dawson in here. Like I said, Ariel, Gammon, all of our mods, Axel, JKBG, HYNDE, Val, everybody that's here all the time that's part of this community. I'm so happy of what we built, man. And I love you guys. Gammon says, Eagles fans, subscribe and come back Monday. That is very important because there were Cowboys fans who invade the chat and then they pulled up and they said, their piece of, hey, great game. You got it. No matter what, I've got to do a post-game show. I'm not going anywhere. Yeah. So
we'll be here Monday.
Yeah. So if we have to do it, then you should at least show up, faceless Eagles fans.
And look. Peace offering to Eagle fans. If you come back Monday, I have this on my desk. I have my little Bryce Harper statue that I've always talked about on this podcast. I don't care. So hey, it's Bryce Harper. Hey, whoa, wait a second. Hang on. We're gonna have a talk about baseball.
No, we're not.
Talk about baseball here. About
I really want to. I hope we have a talk about you like understanding about like disappointment. Just a little bit. We'll talk about it in a minute.
Let's get through the predictions first because I do want to mention it. Jason Aponte, predictions as we started doing. Eagles fans, Niner fans, doesn't matter who you are. If you go to Underdog, use the promo code Aponte. They'll match your first deposit up to $100.
Right.
Go watch the 49ers Eagles. Maybe make a little bit of money. Just make sure you use that promo code Aponte to get a match. Here's our 4 picks for Sunday's game between the Niners and Eagles. 3 Niners, 1 Eagle. You got to have a player on each team for picks to work. I'm going to go Brock Purdy in the 40% rain. I'm shaking in my boots of the 40% rain. Brock Purdy higher than 254.5 passing yards. This is Brock. You want to talk about Hoomst revenge game? I don't have the list in front of me, but boy, oh boy, I cannot think of a bigger Hoomst revenge game than Brock Purdy for this Sunday because all the conversation about this game surrounds Brock Purdy. I'm going to go Chase Young and those 113 snaps against the Eagles this season, higher than half of a sack. And I'm going to go Jake Moody lower than 6.5 kicking points because I don't think there's going to be a ton of points this game. I think this is going to be a slobber knocker of a game. I don't know if Moody's even going to get a couple of field goal chances to hit that 6.5. And then for the Eagles side, I should probably look at the Eagles side before I make some picks. I am going to go Devonta Smith higher than 58.5 receiving yards. If we're going to play that game of A.J. Brown is going to be followed by Charvarius Ward. It's going to leave a lot of opportunities for Devonta Smith against Ambry Thomas, against Diamador Lenore. We'll see what that looks like, but I'll take the higher of Devonta Smith's receiving yards. So there's my 4 picks, Jason.
I love that. My picks for Underdog Fantasy, by the way, use promo code Aponte to double your first deposit up to $100. I've got Brock Purdy over 8.5 rushing yards. I think that there's absolutely a chance for him to scramble, and I think 8.5 is way too low. I've got Deebo Samuel over 11.5 rushing yards. This is a big Deebo Samuel game. Prediction is going to come up about me picking the 49ers to win, but on top of that is that this is a big Deebo Samuel game. Okay. This is the game that he was built for. You're talking crazy. They're ramping you up after the Seattle game. This is a big Deebo Samuel game. 11.5 rushing yards seems like stealing. We got Brandon Ayuk over 4.5 receptions. Seems very easy at this point, especially when you consider who he'll be able to get a chance to maneuver on. There's guys wide open. I think they'll find ways to get him at least 5. And we're talking about Hoom's revenge game. Javon Hargrave over three tackles and assists. That's too easy. That's too easy. That is a higher. Javon Hargrave coming back to wreak havoc on Philadelphia. And if we're choosing one Philadelphia Eagle, give me DeAndre Swift over 2.5 receptions in this game. I've got him as a higher as well. To use promo code Aponte to double your first deposit all the way up to $100, and you can bet on, you can wager on other things: basketball higher lowers, baseball. Nope, baseball you can't until the games actually start. You can't wager on what player is going to end up with what team.
Perfect. So there we go. Jason, predictions. I said that it's either going to be a Niner blowout or an Eagle close win. The Niners. We tend to pick the Niners on this podcast. Don't know if Eagle fans know this. This is a 49ers podcast. So if I said the Niners would have to win in a blowout, give me 49ers 27, Eagles 17. Not quite a blowout, but it's away from that one possession game. The Eagles can't tie the game on their final drive in that situation. They can't win it in that situation. Give me 27-17 49ers.
31-24, San Francisco 49ers is going to end with them on the field, cutting off a drive to end the game as well, too. I do see 31 points in their vicinity right now, especially because when you look at the way that the Eagles have been on the field for almost 140 defensive plays between Kansas City and Buffalo the last 2 weeks, the 49ers are going to try to play time control. They're going to be able to run the football. They're going to be able to hit their shot plays, especially when targeting James Bradbury. Give me the 49ers scoring 31 in this one, 24 for the Eagles, and the 49ers get off the field and get out of Lincoln on a defensive stand at the end of the game. This one is definitely going to be close, but the 49ers are too good. They are too built right now, and they are playing better football than the Philadelphia Eagles are, plain and simple. That's completely objective, completely objective.
All right, guys. So there it is. Now all that's left is the game. 1:25 Pacific time, 4:25 Jason Aponte time, 49ers Eagles. Right after the game, Jason Aponte will go live with his instant reactions right here on Jason Aponte's YouTube channel, Monday at 5:15 p.m. Pacific time. For the Eagle fans, if you want to hear us talk about the Eagles' demise on Sunday, we will be here to talk. And hey, if the game goes your way, we'll still be here to talk, and we could talk about the game and enjoy it. That's going to be it for the podcast today, Jason. I'm in trouble.
You are in deep trouble.
I'm in deep trouble. Maybe for this isn't a current podcast thing, but maybe for the enjoyment of the podcast and maybe a week or two, I may have convinced myself that Shohei's going to the Giants. And that's a dangerous place to be.
Yes. All right. Look. All right.
Dangerous place to be.
Andrew Pasquini.
Convinced.
Please.
Yes.
Please. Look. This isn't Aaron Judge. Obviously, I have no dog in this race. None.
Yes.
Or whatever it is. Please, Andrew. Like, I just want you to protect yourself. Okay. Just protect yourself. And it's like, you know, when you're in a new relationship out of a heartbreak and you lost Judge, right? You didn't get Correa. Right now, you're focused on your new sweetheart. Yes. Protect yourself early on. Don't give yourself, don't give away too much, right? Like this is what I want you to be optimistic and hopeful, but I want you to protect yourself just in case it doesn't happen. And if it doesn't, I don't want it to hurt you. I just don't want it to hurt you. That's all. Like for me, I know the Yankees are going to get Juan Soto. It's not going to matter. They're not going to win any championships, anything like that. Like I'm fine, you know. And if they don't get Juan Soto, it doesn't affect me. But I just don't want it to affect you. That's all. I just don't want it to affect you.
So you want to hear what makes it even worse? Is I've convinced myself that it's Shohei and Soto. So like I'm ready to be hurt.
Shohei, Soto, and Bellinger.
But maybe I'm pretty. Maybe not Soto as much. I have a but Shohei, man, I don't know. I'm ready to get hurt again. I think that's just what it. I think I'm a masochist? Is that people who like pain? I think that's what I am because I convinced myself that Greinke was going to be a Giant. He wasn't a Giant. Convinced myself Stanton was going to be a Giant. He wasn't a Giant. Convinced myself Harper was going to be a Giant. He wasn't a Giant. Convinced myself Judge was going to be a Giant. He wasn't a Giant. And here I am telling the people that Shohei Ohtani is going to be a Giant. And I am that's what I'm saying, dude. Like I already threw the tweet out. I was like, I can't wait for like a week and a half from now where I'm like, nah, man, Chapman and Bellinger were always the best two.
And honestly, this is better because you spread your money out on two guys and you don't have to worry about one guy. But, like that's exactly what you do with Aaron Judge. Wow, he's always been injured a little bit. Why would you pay a guy that much, literally foaming at the mouth 2 weeks before to pay him whatever he wants to be there? I got to love the Giants fans to be able to just twist everything and spin it.
Man, it's fun. It's enjoyable. It's great. It's amazing. Being a Giants fan is so much fun.
Cash, Ohtani's a Dodger.
I don't know, man. I don't know if it's. I think that's where I'm at. I think it's either Giants or Dodgers at this point. I think the Blue Jays are. Nobody wants to go to the Blue Jays.
Nobody does.
Like, okay. The thing that confuses me about the Blue Jays, and we don't have to talk much baseball, is it's the report of, well, if they get Shohei, they're going to move Vlad and Bichette. And it's like, so what's the point of getting Shohei if you're getting rid of all the other good guys?
Isn't it to combine him with all your great talent?
The Giants, because I'm at a point where I think the Giants are getting at least two players. If they get Shohei, he's not the only one they're going to get, and they're going to try and improve. The Blue Jays are just like, nah, we'll get Shohei, and then we'll trade everybody, and then we'll just figure it out from there. It just doesn't make sense. Jason, we spent a lot of time on baseball, obviously. It's a football podcast. Want to get my thoughts out. I think Wolves beat Arsenal 2-1. There's football talk. That's it. That's all I got, Jason. There you go.
Yeah.
You happy?
Yeah, I'm very happy. And I think this is a very fun week. There's going to be a fun game for people that aren't involved in it. And, I'll eventually look back fondly on this game after the 49ers win. But I'm going to be going through it this game, and I think everybody else is. And so the 49er fans that are traveling to Philly, please be safe. Fun. Just remember that no argument is worth you going to jail or being recorded, anything like that. Just, try to use your best judgment. And, I enjoy Philly as a town, man. I really do. They've never really done anything to me. I've been to Eagles games and nothing's ever happened. But again, guys, please be safe. It will be intense. Enjoy your time. Make sure you're with someone. And, just enjoy the game.
And if you're trying to get into an argument with an Eagles fan, don't go find Croc. Croc seems ready to do all of it for
Croc was wild, and Croc was
ready.
So a little bit of backstory real quick, and this is how we'll end it. In 2021, we went to Philly for the game in which Jimmy Garoppolo outplayed Jalen Hurts. And Croc was standing up in the middle, like we're in the middle of the stadium standing up, and it's like, oh, they quiet. Oh, they real quiet. And nobody was saying a word. And I'm like, Croc, please sit down. We can't beat all of them up. Like there's too many of them. They outnumber us. And even one guy tried to kind of intimidate Croc and almost was like, oh, you better watch out or whatever. And he's like, and he turned and spun, and Croc's such a nice guy. So it's kind of weird to see. He spun and looked right in that dude's face and took his soul and was like, and who's going to do something? And who's going to do something? And the guy was just like, oh, no, I'm just saying. And I was like, all right. Yeah, I was like, all right. I know where I'm at and who I'm with.
The thing with Croc is, I feel like being a former NFL player, you got that in you. You're going to talk your shit. And if somebody tries to back you down, you're ready for it. You are like, okay, yeah. That's
dog. Yeah. That was definitely some dog. And that guy instantly, his energy shifted from, you better watch out because something's going to happen, to, oh no, I was just saying, man. I was just like, oh hell no, I can. That energy shift, is everything, man. It's super everything. So yeah, I mean, nothing happened to me when I went to Philly. Everything was fine. And we defaced the Rocky statue. So I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, we don't want to hear it.
We defaced it, and nothing happened. The 49ers won. So what's the point?
Yeah, the only time they've ever been in Philadelphia was 2021. I don't remember any other game in Philadelphia, and the Niners won that one. So. Let's have fun, man. Honestly, man, enjoy the game. There are not many regular season games that are going to have as much juice as this one. Let's just have fun with it. As much fun. I keep saying that fun word. Have as much fun. Croc is from Stockton, and that alone makes me.
That was Stockton.
AEW was in Stockton 2 months ago, and I was just like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to go to Stockton, and that just might tell you I'm a wimp, which I'm cool. That being out there, that I'm soft, I'm cool with that. But that's okay. But let's just enjoy Sunday, man. There's not gonna be too many regular season games that have as much juice as this one. Let's have a good time, not have fun. Let's have a good time.
100%.
Jason Aponte, as always.
Let's go Niners.
Day, man. Oh, fine. fighter of the night, man. I had to.
Welcome, everybody. Let's go Niners. My name is Jason Aponte.